Mr. Tufton is going nowhere.
You're gone into peer Berber conversation. I was trying to have a decent intellectual conversation with you, but you're gone. You're gone at Berber business. Me know that the Berber talking.
The man with the Christian name. And him, the two of them and the pharmacy man, I keep Dr. Tufton there.
Who is the Christian name?
I want to see the pharmacy man that turn me back and go.
Welcome to the hotline for today, Thursday, the 10th November 2022. So happy to be with you, listeners. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. We know that you have choices and we thank you for coming here. We really hope you find reasons to stay. Thank you so much to my colleagues who have increasingly to sit in for me for various reasons. As I told you at the start of the year, my court calendar is extremely packed. And on top of that, sometimes when you think you are balancing all of what needs to be balanced, the body stops. And if the body stops, you can't move. So in the midst of everything, we have to make way for some of those things and to try to balance better so the body can't stop. Yeah? So thank you. Thank you, guys. This is the hotline. I realize that an awful lot has happened over the last couple of weeks. A lot of those matters I'm trying to come up to speed with as well, because I do not like the surface discussions and analysis. I think deep dives are important, but one of the things that has occupied my own mind is this matter of the babies that have died at Victoria Jubilee and the failure of the health minister, Dr. Tufton, to disclose to the nation the outbreak of this bacterial situation attributed to a bacteria that all of us know from 2015, even if we know no other bacteria than Klebsiella. You should be able to answer school challenge quiz in the dead of night for you to name one. Because when the debacle came in health for Dr. Fenton Ferguson, that was one of the species of bacteria that crippled the institutions at the time and which led to the deaths of a number of neonates. When I heard this story, as revealed by Nationwide at the time, I couldn't understand. And I still do not understand why on earth didn't Dr. Christopher Tufton do what he said he has done, which is to call in the people, which is the most crucial thing to do. Get your PAHO in, get your WHO or whoever representatives you think you need to get for a full-scale analysis and remedying of the situation. But particularly because you are not involved in that aspect of it, you're not cleaning the wards, you're not looking under the microscope to assess the composition of the bacteria. In fact, if you looked, you wouldn't have a clue. So why not do the thing that you've done masterfully, especially over the last couple of years during the pandemic, which is to have a Klebsiella conversation and to tell the people of the country, as soon as you knew in August that it has come to your attention that there has been this particular outbreak, and these are the things that you have done in the interim, and perhaps advise that the expectant mothers who had booked for Victoria Jubilee, then these are the alternatives in terms of places for delivery that has been farmed out for them. It is incomprehensible as to why it wasn't done, and up to now I've not heard a proper answer on why it wasn't done. It cannot be because you are awaiting a report, because you must be able to ride and whistle, and in fact you're not the one doing the riding, because you're calling PAHO. Make PAHO go on work. You still have doctors at Victoria Jubilee, you still have nurses. They are working one angle, and you have to work the other angle, especially because it's almost like a Pavlovian response now, where once people hear about dead babies, they think of the resignation of Dr. Fenton Ferguson. And there is an inability to distinguish, an inability to understand the nuances of situation, and to say probably why the Fenton Ferguson model does not apply in this instance. And that is an inability on your part as well. It is sort of the highest degree of political naivete, or something else, a word I haven't been able to find over the last couple of days when I thought about it. How could you not? In fact, you come on this program every Friday for conversations with the ministry. The topics are not limited. You can open and say what you have to say and give updates as you have been doing. And the language is of such breadth and magnitude that if what you're afraid of is frenzy, then use the language to create an unfrenzied atmosphere. So I've not heard in all that I have heard so far how many people, how many mothers in the midst of the outbreak were admitted to Victoria Jubilee for delivery of babies, unknown to them that the outbreak was taking place. And I think it is only fair in that context. They ought to have been given the option of deciding, is this somewhere I would wish to go? Because of the nature of the pregnancy I've had, it may have been a difficult pregnancy, in which event there are certain fetal look at this now. Let me get fecal this up. Oh God. Fetal. Coming from fetus. Not fecal coming from feces. That's not what I meant. There may have been particular vulnerabilities because of the nature of the pregnancy. So we need to know how many people were admitted in the midst of this thing. What measures did the hospital put in place to ensure that the area at which the outbreak was, it was zoned off? Yeah, because the numbers dwindled month over month, and because the people who are better able to manage the healthcare system know much more than I can even think about, then I'm assured that they did all that was necessary to keep as many mothers as possible out of the particular zone of infection, which is why in July, as we understand, where 7 babies died, by the time they got to August with the requisite intervention, only 2 babies died. Yeah? And we have to also find out, in terms of infant mortality, where are we really? And even though it's only 2 in August, how many have we had for the last couple of months, to see whether this is 2, though it sounds low, whether it's an abnormally high number. And the next month, when I believe 1 died, we have to have those numbers for comparison. And this business where I understand that the hospital management, the ministry people were forbidden from speaking. The minister wanted to speak about it, but yet still he remained silent. None of those things have I had the answers, a proper answer. There have been answers, but they're not really proper for the question that is really asked. And how do you not, in light of Fenton Ferguson, how do you not in August bring this to your cabinet? What is it that you were hiding? Because there must be a reason why you hide something. If you're handling it the way you say you're handling it, what is it that you wished to hide and why? So something has some further explanation is needed, Dr. Tufton. A lot more. So I am not at the point of making a call just yet, because I think context is important. And say what you want to say. I remember the context of Dr. Ferguson. And when I say context, I don't mean the immediate context of the matters of the baby dying. There was a whole context which commenced years before that. Yeah? But I'll wait and see if we can get those answers. The other sort of bizarre thing that happened is the presentation by the member from Westmoreland Central. You know, the part in the country that I grew up in, Grange, you know. George Wright is my MP, you know. The part where my people them live still is George Wright is the MP down there. The road that me walk on to go Williamsfield All-Age School is George Wright. Where my grandparent and dad's laid to rest is George Wright is MP down there. So when he made his presentation in Parliament in the State of the Constituency debate the other day, I obviously had an interest in what he is saying because that's my roots. But what I don't understand, what signals Anne-Marie Vaz and Tova Hamilton intended to send when they walked over and sat one next to one, sort of diagonally, sort of behind George Wright. What did they intend to convey? I don't know if they have said it. and I'm running it through my head. You see, this whole thing surrounding George Wright and the allegations of spousal abuse which have dogged him, there are really different planes of analyses that have to kick in. One of those is the plane of possible criminal action, in which it must be absolutely clear that, certainly as somebody who practices the law, even as an elected representative, this is in a criminal sphere now, one has a right not to incriminate himself. So initially, where I stood on this video that people were popping up, putting out and claiming that this is George Wright, when I looked at the picture, I couldn't identify anybody on it. The maker of the video would not come forward to identify the person who was on it, nor to say whether the thing was in working order if the matter was to go to court. And then the alleged victim of the abuse took a particular action. But that is not the core of my concern criminally, because I think it has been agreed that in domestic matters, even if a victim takes a particular line, it doesn't mean that there may not be enough initially for a charge to be proffered. So if the person who recorded the video wished to identify the person on the video by looking on the video, if it is sufficiently clear, and if the video was in good working order, then perhaps there could be some advancement. I do not know if it's advancement to the level of proof that is required by the criminal law, but whatever. And then when the statements were made to the police, as I recall it, when the woman gave a statement to the police initially, the name George Wright had non-description to it. We were not told that it is George Wright, Member of Parliament. It was a Mr. George Wright. But then later in the police investigation, the police disclosed by a statement that certainly with the date of birth of the George Wright, the MP, and George Wright against whom the allegation was made, I was satisfied that it is one and the same person as George Wright, the MP. And I expressed then at the time that I believe even though one cannot force someone to withdraw from the Parliament, cannot force him to resign, that I think it is something he should seriously consider and do. He having not done it, I couldn't go any further with my thoughts. And he remaining in the Parliament, he has to give his constituency update. So there are larger questions that loom over the Parliament, but I think if the questions we have concerning the membership of the Parliament is limited to George Wright based on the experience which runs into a lot of hurdles in the criminal sphere, then I think we're going to have some challenges. So the issue remaining unresolved as it is, I don't know, in the face of statements by these members of Parliament, the women, in fact the entire Parliament, the entire Senate made statements. The Speaker read a statement. The President of the Senate read a statement. Or the leader of government business in the Senate read a statement. So I don't want to be mixed up in my understanding. So Anne-Marie Vaz and Tova Hamilton, what were you saying? In your very vocal, loud silence, but in action, what were you saying? And I don't want to have to read into whatever. Communicate well what you're saying. I've watched Tova Hamilton in all of the committee sittings. Very bright girl in terms of her contribution to the Senate. And Anne-Marie Vaz is very bright, politically astute when you see her representation of her people in Portland East. Yeah? Loved by her people. So what is it that you were saying? What do you want us to take away? Why you thought it important to change your seat in what seems to have been a coordinated move to me? Because when I looked on the video, it's like a signal was sent at the time the speech commenced. Even where Anne-Marie Vaz sat initially, it's almost as if she was being told to sort of move over to the next side and then to move back over. But it is all non-verbal, and I don't wish to err in misreading. So I would love to know what you're saying before I have a talk. There's more, but time is on us. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Ah, boy. Let me come to your calls, yeah? 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. All right. Let me come to 2178. Hello, good morning.
Hi. I should have said, hey, Emily, what's happening?
Nothing much, you tell me.
Well, I wish I could tell you.
Who is this?
You seem to have been listening to my little chat with... I'm not going to say this, and I don't think you have the moral authority to tell me not to say it. I see. Oh, you want to know who it is first?
I must.
Yeah, man, Junior Crooks, man. I see you have been listening.
Junior, then set your palm me.
But most...
Yes,
I mean,
welcome.
Thank you. But here I know. I hear you make a statement a while ago. I'm not going to repeat it before me say what I have to say, and then I see you have the moral authority to stop and saying it. I hear you listening to me with that boy Orville Taylor yesterday.
Who don't boy him up.
All right?
Don't boy him up.
Who you that girl up a while ago?
Who a girl up who?
You never a girl up nobody a while ago.
Who? Who
the
you?
other lady, not Anne-Marie Vaz. I can't remember my fair name. You never
Tova? Tova?
Yeah. Answer me now.
What did I say about Tova?
You said that girl is a bright girl.
Oh?
You just remember.
Oh, so no. So that is the context in which you use boy.
Right.
Okay. Just so long as, because when I use the girl, it wasn't intending to...
You
to be little.
Say what you have to say. I can say my context as well.
Give me the context first.
Now, when I attacked him about Tufton yesterday, he must hurry up and try to cut me off. So I just figured say that listen to the conversation.
No, I wasn't at all.
Listen to the conversation.
No, and then you have to bear in mind, Junior.
Let me ask you
before you ask me, a lot of no, hold on, Junior. I think there are a lot of things that listeners don't know.
Huh?
We get directions from producer, technical operator in studio. Sometimes when you are being rushed, there are a lot of matters happening that we need to get you off. Sometimes you're chatting absolute rubbish and our ears cannot manage, but sometimes there are things outside of our control.
All right, fine. That's very good. Anyway, you tell me something. Have you ever, because I don't get a chance to listen all the while, you ever thought of getting the Prime Minister on the line?
He has been here.
He has been there with you?
Yes.
Well, I think it's time for him to come back. Because my thoughts are, I want to ask you directly if it is humanly possible for Christopher Tufton to bring in power and bring in whoever tells him what and bring in, and that is not brought to the attention. That's my guess before you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, answer me, man, because you're very silent first.
Bertrand, how must I answer?
Oh, you know you must answer.
I do not know. if I do not know an answer, if I do not know the answer, I don't have to say I don't know. Eh?
You know you're legal. Don't take off the legal hat off your head.
No, I'm not wearing a legal hat. I genuinely don't know the answer. Because I do not know that the PAHO people are, I don't know if they're fully external, meaning they have to come from somewhere to come here, or if there's a team locally that you can call on. Huh?
External or internal? Tell me if it is humanly possible.
Yes, it is. Obviously it is. Because he did it.
Let me ask that question. It would be interesting to get the Prime Minister to speak to you.
Eh?
And this issue.
How what?
Because I want you to again, as I asked you the last time when he was sending Roddy down by Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know to see if you can get him on the line to clarify.
But
because
listen, listen to the question you asked me, Junior Crooks.
Mm-hmm.
Is it humanly possible for a health minister to call in PAHO and the Prime Minister does not know?
They have no idea.
No idea.
No idea neither.
The obvious answer is yes.
I'm personally like a party shop him around then.
No.
Oh yes, it
No.
Me feel a little laugh in your voice, you know.
No. When I'm trying to laugh, you will hear it.
I mean, no, that's
right.
Why being so clever this time?
No, it's not being clever. I'm saying the answer is yes because we know that it happened in this instance. And we also know that at the time it happened, the Prime Minister didn't know. So common sense and logic, they dictate that it can happen. As to why it happened that way, we don't know. Remember, even in the management of COVID, for example, PAHO and WHO have been frequently engaged in the last 3 years in this country, you know, and I do not think in every instance their engagement requires the Prime Minister knowing at the start.
I'm sorry, I put that in there because that's the excuse. Take out PAHO and everybody else.
No, don't talk to me about excuse.
This little thing here.
I'm not dealing with excuse, you know.
You have babies and all of these things dying like flies. And you dealing with all that, and you don't bring it to their attention.
You see now, I don't deal in hyperbole, you know. You see, when you come with babies dying like flies, you have to come with data. So don't exaggerate the argument to make the point you're making, however weak the point is. Pull it back.
Yes, all right. I can't wait for that because that again is relative. Dying like flies, you have to say what you mean by dying like flies. My idea of that can be different from yours. I understand.
It's not only idea; it has to be based on data. That's why I say, Junior, when they said 2 babies died in August, we need to know in previous August how many babies died. Is 2 abnormally high within the context of the death in the last 5 years? They say 7 babies died in July. Within the context of the babies that normally die in July outside of a bacterial infection, is it fine to say babies died like flies? So data will help us. You see what I'm saying?
Fine. So in all of this now, you think it would be appropriate for you to request a little session of rapping with Andrew so that you can have this thing?
Frankly, before I even stop at Andrew, there's a lower hanging fruit that needs some attention, and that would be the minister himself.
No, man.
No.
I know. I like a lot of other persons in Jamaica, particularly like Christopher Constant, you know. So when you see me, I said it's not a personal thing.
No, but listen, you run the risk. Although the Prime Minister is the head of cabinet.
Exactly.
But he...
Since me can't rely on where Christopher come to with me, I go the head of the thing, man. At the head of the street, I go, man. He might box up with him, man. I don't have much time to waste, man. And you know why I say that, though? You more of a speak if the Prime Minister would have tried. There are sometimes when you confront a person directly, you know, no matter how you love somebody, you can't back him up by a line, you know. So when you put the question pointedly to him and say, Andrew, were you or were you not aware?
No, you know what? No? But, Jonah, that is not an issue.
What you say?
That's not an issue.
Where said that's not an issue?
That the Prime Minister was not aware.
That is, he not come out and say, "No, I hear the film out."
I understand that it was said that Tufton himself said the first time he briefed the Prime Minister was the date was disclosed on radio.
Then that's why we want to hear now, because we can get Tufton to resign as easy as because
resign. What would you want him to resign for? For failing to disclose?
Something not matter, man. Not just failing to disclose, man.
What else would there be?
Nah, matter, man. And even in particular, and this issue when we are rev right now, we want first of all confront the Prime Minister and see if he would have where they call it. I don't even know if I put it. If he would have right now to tell me, say no, he was not aware. You understand what I say? Sometimes when it's like when you go in a court and everybody presume and resume and
no. Stay in the court argument with me, no.
Pointedly to the person.
No, stay in the court argument. So you want to put the question pointedly to the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, I know you're not
to what? No, to what end? What is it you're hoping to achieve?
To defend Tufton
but isn't that a problem?
Eh?
Isn't that a problem? Because if the Prime Minister says he didn't know,
well, we'll determine that at that point. Why
no. This is why I say no. You don't just ask a question for the sake of asking a question. You have to have, okay, if he says no, then it means this. If he says yes, then action will come.
Then I have to ask to see if I could Tufton to resign. There's no question about that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So me want to anyway. Basically, there's so much more things to say, but may I give the next person a chance, because this really put me,
Yes.
But separate apart from that, you see, when you get the Prime Minister again, so you see, I want to dovetail on it and ask him, why is it that there's a problem with his integrity thing here? Why is it that he can't get a clean bill of health?
How on earth must the Prime Minister answer that question?
I know it's difficult.
It is not. It's not a question for the Prime Minister.
That is true. That is so true. But it's just a matter of just thinking to the fathom, I guess. Then.
No, you have to think about who you can get a proper answer from and ask that person.
Right. But
if he submits his statutory declaration and the Integrity Commission has the statutory responsibility to verify.
And they smartly put a gag order on themselves.
It is not a smart gag order. It's no gag order, and I discussed this at length over the last couple of weeks, and I have said in my view that so-called gag order needs to remain. Because, Jonah, let me tell you something. You people seem to think, say, the moment you go into politics, you're a dog and drunk, and nothing good mustn't come of you. People must be free to call your name, to say Junior Crooks is being investigated for allegation of corruption in so and so, and nothing. And when the report is actually done and finds zero evidence to match it, there is no repentance with the reputation from the damage that has been done. But we don't care. But if it happens to us personally, we have a problem. It needs to remain, and the Integrity Commission must do its work and table its reports in Parliament, after which it can speak. Gotta go. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline, 926-7615-8631. Sorry, toll free, I'm with you. Morning, toll free. What is this? 926-2178. I go back to 8631. Hello.
Good morning, Mrs. Shield.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, man. I have a very 2 points that I would like to bring out to you. I'm living in the parish of St. Thomas, in a community called Thornton.
Yes.
Eastern St. Thomas.
Who am I talking to?
And
give me a name, sir.
Pardon me?
What's your name? My first name.
My name is Barry.
Barry. You're in Eastern St. Thomas?
Call me Barry at the moment.
Yes.
From St. Thomas.
Yes, I'm here to folder in the background.
Yeah, man, you hear the folder. Yeah, and we have a breakaway here from 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very dangerous because the last time I had to save someone there because they was coming around there in a dark hole, and the place is so dark in the night. And it's a lucky thing I was coming behind the person at the time. Right over there, the person was going. And until now, I made a report on it already. And until now, nothing was done to it. And we have a next, after this current weather that we have.
Where's this breakaway? What's the name of the community?
The breakaway?
Yes.
Actually in the middle of the district. Because people...
What's the district?
Thornton.
Yes.
Eastern Centre, Thornton. And we having a problem because the vehicle that carry people, we have elderly people around the other side of the district that when the vehicle carry them, they have to walk around here. And the position is at the moment, if you have little load and so, you have to get wheelbarrow and stuff, to shove it around here. And we talked to the relevant authority about it more than one time. And they haven't done anything about it. And we have a problem too with water supply. For the past 2 years, we don't have any water in the pipe either.
So, Dr. Charles is your MP?
Yes, Dr. Michelle Charles.
Michelle?
Yeah.
So she knows about this breakaway?
Well, I don't know where our office is at the moment, because I haven't been to our office.
But NWA knows about it? They must know about it.
Yeah, but NWA know about it because they come up here.
What they say?
Pardon me?
What did they say?
They only come and look, they only drive vehicle to come and look at it. And
yeah, but nobody from the community asked them what they said?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe, because it's a rural community, And Mrs. Shield.
No, hold on. Let me see if we get NWA. None of this is making sense. I don't understand. If it's so big and NWA came, no report was given to anybody as to why, the nature of the work that is to be done, by when it will be done, and why it hasn't yet happened. It's nearly 6 years now, Barry?
Yeah, man, from 2016.
No. That's something not right. You're sure NWA never said anything?
They came and look at it, but I don't hear nobody say, they say when they're going to do anything.
What did they say is the problem?
Pardon me?
What is the problem? I mean, we know what the problem is. What do they say the solution is? Is it something that can be fixed?
Yeah, man, something can be fixed.
By what time? Nothing? They didn't give any timeline?
No, they didn't give any timeline.
Why? Oh, no long suffering bad, sir.
And it's a major concern in the district.
Must?
Yeah.
Well, we're messaging NWA now. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. Thornton.
Yes. Let's see what we get. Keep listening. You hear?
Yes, Mrs. Shields. And the water supply as well.
Yes. No water?
No water in the pipe for about 2 years now. And you've been getting the bill, and...
This is also in Thornton?
Yeah, in Thornton.
For over 2 years now. So how no get by?
So, sometimes I wonder why the relevant authority, if the people that doing a job here, if they actually believe, or the government at least, believe that to fix a road, to maintain a road, if it dearer more than to make a new road. That is my concern all the while. I wonder if it is more expensive to maintain a road more than to make a new road, because the road I believe they need to maintain the road and they would have less problem.
No, the problem with the maintenance, Barry.
Yeah.
Everything comes back to the economy.
Yeah.
You know how it comes back to the economy? You see, every time... Why am I getting an echo now? The phone, them turn on the radio?
No, the phone. They look at, they want to talk on the radio, on the phone.
No, the phone, they turn on the radio, man, is pay echo me again. Hang up the phone and go feed the phone them. Give them water.
But they feed, they
feed already? Look if so. Look if them are yours.
Because they are lay also.
Them are lay?
Yeah, man, them are lay.
All right.
They get feed.
Go listen to the radio. Let me tell you about the economy. You know, hear ya? Yes, hang up the phone and listen to the radio. Let me explain the economy to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, put the phone them up close to the radio too, because them want to hear. I can understand it.
All right,
take care. Why it comes back to the economy is this. We have, since independence, not managed for the larger part of our independent years our economy very well. Certainly coming into the 70s, into the 80s, into the 90s. When you look at our debt to GDP ratio, how it blew completely out of proportion over the various periods, and how our productive capacity lessened so that your GDP start to shrink. Your debt rise and your GDP shrink. So what it means is this: the more money you have to spend to pay back debt, Barry, is the less money you have to maintain road, to build new road, to maintain hospital, to build new hospital. And I told you in the parliament some months ago, the president of the NWA, E.G. Hunter, went to parliament and gave an outline and produced figures of the quantum that is needed for road rehabilitation and for road maintenance yearly in Jamaica. The money where him want because of the state of the roads and the money that should be allotted at a minimum, it nearly more than the national budget. So that's why the issue of maintenance has to be piecemeal, because we have not managed the economy in a way that hospitals, schools, national security, roads could be taken care of properly, because we didn't have any space in the budget because we have to pay back debt. And that is why it is so crucial that we do not deviate from the debt reduction strategy that we are on at the moment. The moment we get our debt down to below 50% of GDP, it means there's more money. Barry, we're going to have to fix road for you and the fold them. Because I'll fold one good road for walk pan. Yeah? Anyway, that is it. 217-87615. Hello? What is going on with the phones this morning? Toll free? Yeah. Hi, who is this?
Edward.
Welcome, Edward.
Tell me something. Was my office is still in place?
Clearly it is. I see it resurrect.
But so, I don't hear nothing from them because...
But me not understand you. You know, here the Ombudsman said they're going to investigate Warminton comment.
No, I didn't hear that.
I thought that's what you saw.
Because it's exactly what I call it to ask about.
No, man, in fact, I think on the front page of the paper this morning. See?
Oh, that's good, because, I mean, why make the comment look bad?
But what is there to investigate?
Well, if Warminton behave in that kind of way,
if
Prime Minister can't call him up and shake, but I mean, the Prime Minister is just like him and I agree with him.
No, Edward, this is the problem. Mr. Warminton behaved in worse ways before he was appointed a minister. So even hear the PSOJ statement, when I heard their statement that they are alarmed or something, surprised by the utter, I said, them people are lit them head, you know. How can you be surprised at something when you don't expect anything differently from somebody?
Well, that is true.
How?
It's true.
He said worse to everybody before he became a minister. But by all accounts, he's an absolutely good minister. By most accounts. By my watching of the parliament, if you can manage his behavior, then he's a good parliamentarian. But how can you separate the behavior from everything else?
Yes, because this type of behavior, every time it looks like we're leaving out of this dirty politics, it come like he can right back in it with this kind of behavior.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, it is. But I see the Ombudsman statement that they're going to invest. What is there to investigate? Eh? The statement speaks for itself.
It's really bad. Really
But let me tell you something, Edward. There's a reverse racism in this country, you know. Reverse racism.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah? Where we say anything we want about somebody because he's white. Yeah? And we think it's okay. It's not.
That's very bad, though.
Thank you for the call.
All right.
Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. I think there's so much misunderstanding about things. I certainly don't claim to understand a lot, but it's not for want of trying. I hope John will call me today because he copied me on a social media post where John said, Mark Golding and Julian J. spoke about spending $40 billion more. And the PSOJ and Emily Shields and others said that we were trying to set Jamaica back. Well, now Nigel Clarke tabled $60 billion and everybody said he's a genius. And I think people really don't understand. Mark Golding, shortly after the presentation by the minister in the mid-February budget, in which he gave a number of relief products to various people who were facing the impact of COVID. And he was trying to cushion the effects. At the time the budget was read, before the start of the financial year, those things were obviously put in the budget, which would commence for the fiscal year 2022-23. Mark Golding then wanted and asked the minister to increase the spend by a further $40 billion or so to take it up to about 2% of GDP, to give those to the vulnerable, even though the revenue projections at that time could not accommodate that. Because if you did that, then it means you'll have to borrow and therefore increase that burden. Or you have to sit and hope that your revenues perform well post-COVID. But something interesting has happened. The economy has bounced back. better than expected. And not only that, we've had to deal in the midst of that, and after the budget was tabled, the last week in February, the war in Ukraine started, which result in supply issues, which result in inflationary pressures. And with the inflation, it means that there's movement in the price for goods and services and all sorts. But on top of that, for the last 6 months, the revenues have outperformed the government's projection. So what did the government do? They now look back and they say, okay, we have this revenue coming, and there are all of these other things that we have to take care of, including the buses, the tablets in school, and a couple other things I hear the minister mentioned. And he said, since we have this additional revenue from what has come in, the actual budget revenue for the last 6 months, that is bigger by about 35 billion. Then we can take care of these other issues, but we have to keep the social spending to be round about 0.3, 0.4, 0.5% of GDP, because if not, all of these other things cannot be taken care of. So the fact that there has been increased expenditure because of the outperforming of the revenue now than projected, it does not equate to the call that Mark Golding made. And you have to try and understand these things, John and others. You cannot run with something for the sake of running. The point is, if you had done it in February, and what he has done in November is not what he did in February either. But if you would put out in February 40 billion more to the grants and the various things that went to individual, and your revenues did not perform, then you're going to have to turn around to borrow to finance those things, and the first supplementary estimate would have to be adjusted to the degree of borrowing that is necessary. And what I'm telling you is just simple common sense. This is the hotline, 2178. Morning. Turn your radio down and come for me, please.
Good afternoon, Mrs.
Morning is morning here, you know.
Morning, Mrs.
Who is this?
It's my second time calling.
Who am I talking to?
Concerned citizen.
Yes.
Two issues. One with the Statistical Institute of Jamaica.
Yes.
And you know that a census has been started in September.
Yes.
But it's not on the way as always supposed to.
Why?
People are returning in back their tablets. Not interested.
People are turning in their tablet?
Yes. Not interested. Some places have not started. Some communities just a little part that it started.
Mm-hmm.
And so forth. And the citizens, some persons started visiting houses, and they don't want to because they said the question them too stupid, country, foolish. They're asking too many of the same question over and over, and so forth. And some of the workers who apply for the census are complaining because one person's got a salary for training of 20,000, and they draw out 6,000 towards that something income tax 4,000 out of the 20,000. Those are the persons who did it face to face, and the online person got supposed to get 9,000, and they only got 6,000 because income tax was drawn from it, and so forth.
So you don't expect to pay income tax?
Well,
people don't expect to pay income tax?
Yes, but We didn't know that from small salary like $20,000.
But don't they work otherwise? They clearly work otherwise.
That was training.
No, they don't have another job.
No, most of them don't have another job.
It must have another job for that tax to come out because remember the income tax threshold is.
That's what they are asking.
Yeah, but
most of the people who did.
But how many people you're telling me this has affected now? Because it's the first I'm hearing. You're citing one-on-one person now. How many people? Well, I'd have to find out from Statin how many thousands of people around Jamaica are doing the census. How many have been disgruntled, and how has it affected the progress of the program?
And it's really not underway.
Eh?
It's not really underway as it was then. From the previous years, from the last census. Well, on that note, no. The next thing I would like to talk about is the dead babies.
Yes.
I remembered listening and something like this occurred in the People's National Party back then with Dr. Fenton Ferguson, and the Prime Minister, then opposition, Prime Minister now, Andrew Omis, came and he said he heard the children crying, asking him questions, why this has happened and allow this to happen. Now he's Easter. I think he heard the children crying before, asking him questions, why you let the same thing happen now, because you told us that if you were in power, this wouldn't have happened under your portfolio. I know you don't, he does not want, I don't hear he says anything on it.
Good questions.
I don't hear. And he said also another thing, in political statements again, and I can't understand why they keep on using these things. And when it is happening, they cannot fix it. He said also, we could have said the door open.
Yes.
And he asked, if it was in power, he asked the solution.
Yes.
So, and Mrs. Sheen, my heart bleed, lose my family in my house. Yeah, in my house. And nothing has been done.
Yes.
And he's in power now, and I'm not seeing her hearing and doing anything. But the main question is dead baby. You do not hear them crying, asking him, why are you allowing us to make the same thing happen to us? Didn't you know about the bacteria? Didn't you know that the doctors and the nurses did not have gloves and change that things? Didn't you know that?
Well,
and that is portfolio?
I don't know if that is what led to the bacterial outbreak.
We are asking.
Yes, but it's some good questions you're asking, concerned citizens.
Yes.
They need to answer them.
He heard the baby crying when Fenton Ferguson, and now he is in. He did not hear them crying out for help, Andrew. We need help. The same thing is going to happen to us again.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Well, Mrs. Shea, thank you for your time. And I need to find out I know what is going on with the census.
Yes, I'll try and find out from Statin what is happening. See how many people are not showing up for work. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. You hear?
Yeah.
Yes, Kimberly, let's try and get Statin on to see. Because people now answer the question. May I tell you, say, everybody a specialist nowadays, you know. Over how many years no census a take up? And people used to go to people's yard with the book that had the many things with the printouts at the back. And write down and take up a photo. When then take your picture of your control. It look like hard life take you. No matter how you're voluptuous and looking at real life, when them take your picture. But people seem to think these questions are random. They're not. And everybody have issue one and answer one question, but on put on a whole life on social media. In fact, what Statin needs to do is just to ask for our social media handles and comb through them, because we can see date, time of birth. In fact, some of them put projected time of death on it. What them eat, too much them have. Every single thing is out there every day. The time they bathe, the time they go to work, the time they go home. Who is wearing Chanel, who have baby doll body. Everything is out there, but you don't want to answer one question from census people or two questions. You have a thought on how the question is set up. I don't want to answer. So we cannot know how many people are actually in the country because a proper census won't be able to be taken up. So Statin, I would love to hear from you. What is going on with the census? Answer the question. Oh yeah, the census don't take the picture. That is the enumeration one. A voter's ID. Why the most stop take no picture of a voter's ID, DT? Betad. Paired up a picture with the voter's ID. Let me look and see what me look like, you know. Yes. Catching up a picture, a lie? Let me picture. TT, take the break. We're going to look for me up a picture, yeah. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Me no can't find the double picture, but that's fine. Put me red thread on my forehead. I don't want to see it anyway. Listen, we're waiting on some responses from the National Works Agency Barry, so we can find out about the breakaway in Thornton. All right. I think this matter is so important as well. I'm gonna see if Nigel Clarke can talk to us, because I want to see for the way I understand this thing with the 60 billion additional expenditure is the way he actually meant for us to understand it. Because I listened to him in the parliament and I quoted John's tweet, but I've seen quite a few people saying that the expenditure is doing exactly what Mark Golding called for earlier. And if that is so, I just want to understand how my understanding of it is just so off. So let me just see if I can get an explanation from Finance and Planning Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke. Minister, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Emily.
Yes, welcome. I'm just trying to see if my understanding of what you said in the Parliament in relation to the first supplementary estimates, if my understanding of it is correct, or whether what has happened is that the government has stolen Mark Golding's idea to expand the spend on the most vulnerable by the 40 billion that Mark Golding called for, and you've not credited Mark Golding with that call.
Yes, Emily, that is a laughable notion. The persons who support Mr. Golding, and perhaps Mr. Golding himself, are seeking to redeem themselves from the unsustainable proposals they put forward earlier in this year. Let me remind you that at the time of the budget tabling, or during the budget debate, they called for an extra expenditure of $40 billion to go toward a single category of items, which was to provide, grant payments, where the revenue did not at that time exist.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past 6 months, the Jamaican economy has performed far better than expected by official forecasts, by pundits, and by others.
Mm-hmm.
And that overperformance of the Jamaican economy has delivered, for the first 6 months of this year, extra tax revenues of $35 billion.
Yes, I heard you say.
Across all tax types.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Across tax types are in 3 broad categories: income and production, consumption, and taxes. Income, production, and consumption. And the third category is across the border, trade taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those are up due to elevated levels of economic activity, as well as higher than expected inflation. But elevated levels of economic activity...
How does inflation bring them up?
Well, let me talk about elevated levels of economic activity first.
Yes.
I want to give you one indication as to how elevated levels of economic activity have positively affected the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The budget had departure tax, I believe, at about $8 billion. And we have not increased departure tax. The departure tax, there's no inflationary pressure on departure tax.
Mm-hmm.
But the departure tax has overperformed the budget by $4 billion or 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Without an increase in the cost of the departure tax.
So
meaning the numbers are up. The
Yes.
activity is up.
So it's now up to 12 billion.
Correct. And
$4
so
billion more than your 8 billion forecast, yeah?
Right. Yes, and let's use a percentage so it's on the 50% relative to what we forecasted before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's indicative of the increase in economic activity beyond what we would have forecasted. Now, in addition to that, inflation above projections would have also affected revenues in the sense that, but it affects revenues and expenses,
Yes.
both sides, in the sense that to the extent that prices have adjusted and certain taxes are based on prices,
Mm-hmm.
those taxes would yield more, okay? But expenses also go up.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time of his proposal, he proposed it for one single item of expenditure, which was grants. And he proposed it at a time where revenues did not exist, which is the height of the responsibility and which is what got Jamaica into trouble the first time around. Spending from where revenue does not exist, which means racking up debt. Now, fast forward 6 months, and the needs of the country, that some of them are acute,
Mm-hmm.
We are able to meet through the supplementary budget, because we're based on the $35 billion increase in actual revenue so far for this year. We can project that for the 12 months, revenues will be up $65 billion over the original budget.
And that's
But
because
rather
what?
than-
That's
rather
because
than-
what? In the second half of the year, revenues are up more than the first half?
Yeah, in the second half of the year,
Yeah.
Historically that has been the case. But we can't, given the changes in the global climate,
Yeah.
we have to be careful about using that historical norm. In
Right.
the event that recession unfolds next, in January, February, March, in the United States, for example, it could have an impact on our revenues.
Mm-hmm.
And if we kind of spend on a pace that does not take that possibility into account, we could land into difficulty. But yes, we are taking in probably in less certain time, we would not necessarily take into account projected revenue, right? We would just take into account revenues that have actually happened. But given the pace of the overperformance, I think it's very fair to expect that, if we had 35 for the first half of the year, then 30 for the next half would actually be, is reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are we doing with that? According to Mark Golding, we should just take up a whole bag of money, 40 billion, and spend it on one category of expenditure. So where would the money come to buy the 50 buses that are coming to Jamaica within the next few months?
But
where would the money
let me
come?
ask you, didn't you, when you spoke in February for the opening of the budget, I'm sure you had an allocation for those buses that are scheduled to come in.
Okay. No, I didn't have an allocation for it. How capital expenditure happens is that you have to go through a process called the public investment management process.
Yeah.
And at the end of that process, the allocation is made for that specific item of expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of tabling of the budget, the process for the procurement of the buses was such that it was not included as a line item in the budget. However, we do make a provision for projects that are underway at the time of tabling the budget, with expectation that they'll be ready for allocation during the year. So in February, I would have forecast, that's our expectation, that the buses are going to stay. But there's no line item allocation. What we're doing in supplementary here is releasing funds from that contingency directly to the Minister of Transport, because they're now ready to purchase the buses. Right? So that there is that. And then if we are to do as has been suggested, where would the $21 billion for public sector compensation come from? Where would the $3.9 billion for secondary roads that have been damaged by storm and by rain, and that certainly won't repair all of them, but it's a significant outlay of expenditure. Where would that come from? The fact is that we are engaging in providing for a broad range of needs in the society. And if you permit me to just go through, $21 billion for public sector expenditure, $3.9 billion for secondary roads, $6 billion to the police, the correctional services, and the JDF for critical expenditure. $3 billion approximately to the Ministry of Health, outside of the $2.2 billion for compensation expenditure for the Ministry of Health. We are increasing past payments by 18% and making the provision for that in this supplementary budget. We're providing $2.2 billion to the Ministry of Education, which includes a total of $500 million for UTEC and UE combined. It includes over $500 million for tablets for teachers. We are providing, we are making, reallocation to advance the work of the Southern Coast Highway. So the point is that, Emily, that the call earlier this year was just categorically irresponsible and sought to take advantage potentially of perhaps not, a thorough awareness of the details of the numbers. What this government is doing is taking a responsible approach that provides the space for the economy to grow and to overperform. And as that happens, we harness the resources and we return them to the people in a way that takes care of a broad range of needs, as opposed to populist grandstanding that is only seeking political mileage at the expense of the security and stability and sustainability of the Jamaican people's finances.
As I look back at the date when Mark Golding made the call, it was the 11th of July, 2022. I think he perhaps made it in Parliament before, actually. I think I'm up on a break, Minister. Please hold on. We're speaking with Finance and Planning Minister, Dr. Nigel Clarke.
Newport for Sand Jamaica Limited, the first on the land, blenders of high-quality fertilizers. The time by Newport for Sand Jamaica Limited is
10:45.
We're back with Dr. Nigel Clarke, Finance and Planning Minister. I'm trying to remember the actual first date that he made that submission. It may have been in the Parliament, and he repeated.
So it was. I can tell you, it was in his budget presentation in March. And it was, the reason I know that is that I responded to it in my closing presentation at the end of March.
Okay.
And I brought my building blocks to Parliament.
Yes.
It looks like I'm going to have to take those building blocks out as well.
No. I remember them very well.
Okay,
and why I ask you is because the timeline you gave me is that for the last 6 months, actual budget revenues, they're bigger than budgeted by 35 billion.
Tax revenue.
Tax revenues, yes. Mm-hmm. So when I go back 6 months, I'm up to May, and
no, 6 months begins April 1st. So I should be more precise.
For the fiscal year.
For the fiscal year, April 1st to September
May,
30th.
June, July, August, September.
Yeah.
Okay.
April 1st to September 30th. Tax revenues are up. Have overperformed budget by $35 billion.
Okay, so that, as you said, Mark Golding made the call in March when he made his presentation in the Parliament. Mm-hmm. So can you just let me know if you have to finger the actual percentage to GDP of the spend at the moment on services for the most vulnerable in the budget for this fiscal year?
Well, if you were to, the way I'll answer the question that you asked, if you talk about the provision for the most vulnerable, then you have to take into account all the provisions in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the provisions in the Ministry of Education, and the provisions in the Ministry of Health, which are substantial.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Right.
I want the ones that go directly in the pocket of the people.
Wait.
That's what I want.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's a question that you asked. You know, the government has standing programs that are geared towards the vulnerable.
Yes.
And the amount of those programs on an annual basis is easily maybe I'm going to give you an approximate number, between 1.2 and 1.5% of GDP on an annual ongoing basis.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is incremental to the base that happens year in, year out. Because of the special circumstances of this year. That is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Now, the incremental to that long-running base that we have programmed for this year would consist of the 7.2 billion that I announced earlier this year, plus the 1.1 billion increase in the 18% increase in pass, regular pass payments. 8.2. So that would be about 0.4%. In terms of the incremental amount above the baseline expenditure on vulnerable segments of the Jamaican population.
Okay, so that's the question I was asking. And Mark Golding's proposal was that you increase the incremental amount to the base because of the special circumstances by 40 billion and to take it up to about 2% of GDP.
Yes. So what Mr. Golding is trying to do there, simply, it's a political ploy to try and make whatever the government does seem puny. Okay? That's position politics for you. Mr. Golding knows full well that is completely unaffordable in the context of Jamaica's finances, and I think I demonstrated with my blocks why that is the case. But the intent and purpose is to attempt to make the government, to undermine the government's efforts and to make them seem small in light of his gigantic, unrealistic, unattainable, unachievable proposal. And a proposal that, if implemented, would turn Jamaica's finances upside down.
But isn't there an alternative and noble intent at the core of it, which is that the inflation has completely eaten out people's purchasing power, and to give people a bit more, to allow them to at least be able to buy basic food, is to sort of restore the dignity that is lost almost daily?
Yeah, and so that is what we are doing. We have at least 10 programs that have been underway this year, and 10 is probably a low estimate, that are geared towards assisting persons who are most affected from what has unfolded around the globe this year. And that in previous times, you try and recall a time such as this when the government responded with direct cash grants outside of what is usually programmed directly to people who sign up to an online platform. That is a completely new dispensation, and one that this government has introduced.
Yes.
Mr. Golding, is feeling a little left out, and he's trying to get ahead by making suggestions that he knows cannot be implemented.
But however he feels, I keep going to the inflation. It is the economic answer, and what it does, especially with the interest rates being increased by the Bank of... Let me finish this thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
Interest rates being increased by the Bank of Jamaica to contain inflation, isn't that also having the effect of literally running people out of jobs?
Yeah,
and it's making a lot of people poorer because of the times that we are in, and that's something that governments have to find ways to answer to directly.
These are very, very difficult times around the world. I think we have seen for ourselves, even for the strongest economies in the world, what happens if you pursue unsustainable policies. We saw a nuclear power, one of the wealthiest countries in the world, fall to its knees within a matter of weeks because of unsustainable fiscal proposals. Just imagine Jamaica, much poorer than that country. If we begin to engage with the best of intentions with fiscal and financial proposals that are unsustainable, it are worse. So what we are doing here, Emily, to address the very real situation that Jamaicans face, we have allocated $21 billion more to public sector compensation in the supplementary estimate.
Which is yet to be agreed.
That is a government that is listening and responding.
No, not necessarily, Not necessarily, Doctor. Not necessarily. The quantum by itself doesn't say, because we know how low you're coming from.
Yeah, sorry, that is on top of, I don't want, that's a separate topic, but you have just painted a picture of an environment that is challenging around the world, including Jamaica. And I am pointing out to you that the supplementary estimates that have been tabled and the budget that was tabled earlier this year contains provisions that seeks to address the challenges that Jamaica faces. But those challenges are aggravated by other circumstances as well. Jamaicans will tell you that the conditions of the road leave much to be desired. The government is responding with an allocation for secondary roads that is larger than an allocation has been made in quite some time, certainly in a supplementary estimate, $3.9 billion. You go back and check, when was the last time that a government was able to make such an allocation?
But I'm not interested in the quantum so much. No, yeah, Dr. Okay. Clarke. Because, yes, your quantum, if $3.9 billion in 2022 may very well equate to $1.5 billion in 2015 because of the loss in the value of money, especially in the period of inflation in which we are. Isn't that so?
Yeah, but you can make those comparisons on an inflation-adjusted basis. You can make those comparisons as a percentage of GDP to remain consistent. And I put it to you that you will not find in recent times such a large allocation to secondary road in a supplementary budget.
In terms of percentage to GDP?
Percentage of GDP or inflation-adjusted.
Okay.
Okay? Just to put it in perspective, if I'm not mistaken, the allocation to secondary roads for the entire year in February might have been about $3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are that's a doubling of the if I'm correct on the original $3 billion. That's more than a doubling of the allocation to secondary road. Now we're unable to do that because of the overperformance in the economy, and we have to do that in response to what the people are saying. We have seen opposition MPs be heckled in public, and because of condition of roads, we have seen government MPs come under significant pressure as well. And that I'm saying to you that a response that says we are putting in a supplementary budget an amount for secondary roads that equates what we put for the entire year is an unmistakable response to the cry of the people. And I can go through and list the other items contained in the supplementary budget that represent a response to the people. Yes. We don't respond to Mr. Golding. We respond to the people of Jamaica, and the needs of Jamaica are broad and they're deep, and therefore we have to be prudent. If we're to follow him, there'll be no money for roads, no money for pharmaceuticals, no money for tablets.
You think he's like the
money for public sector compensation, no money for bridges and gullies and garbage and buses. No money for any of those things, because he would have squandered it on the platform of populist rhetoric.
You think he's like
leaving the barrel completely empty?
You think he's like the Kwasi Kwarteng of Liz Truss's former administration?
Worse.
Not possible. Absolutely not possible. Let me ask you, a number of people called this program about NIS. Especially in this time, I've been trying to get somebody from the NIS department to talk to us about where the increases are. I think I heard some actuarial study was to be done. As I recall, I think you granted some increase in the budget that you tabled recently, but it somehow is not reaching to people. Do you know what the status is at the moment on the NIS increase?
In terms of the social support that we provided this year, we provided a grant to all NIS pensioners who earn less than $15,000 per month. And at the time, that totaled, the number I have in my recollections, about 57,000 individuals. And those funds have, to the best of my knowledge, been paid out. In terms of annual increase to NIS pensioners, that happens on an annual basis and on a scheduled basis. I would have to get back, or you could contact the ministry to find out exactly when that is scheduled for. But I believe if it has not yet happened, it's certainly on the horizon.
But the annual increase, is it normally on par with inflation or below inflation?
The annual, you remember the concept of pension, first of all, is fixed payment. That's the definition of pension, whether you're in private or public sector. So an increase in the amount of pension is not something that is a right or something that should be expected. That is something that happens outside of the contractual obligation, contractual pension obligation. And as such, given the contractual obligation is set up in that way, the contribution rates are set up based on fixed payments in retirement. If we were to set up the contribution rate so that we could raise pensions consistent with inflation, then the contribution rates would go a lot higher. And you'd have to ask Jamaicans whether they want to pay more in their deduction for that. And it would be significantly higher if we were to try to put a contractual arrangement in place where NIS payments in retirement or pension payments in retirement kept pace with inflation. So, I think they're policy choices, right? And what a politics that seeks to disabuse persons of the notion that policy, that one doesn't have to make choices in policy, or policies chosen have impact in other areas, is a decadent politics.
Have to leave it there.
That is ultimately destructive.
Have to leave it there, Dr. Clarke. And I thank you so much for your time, Finance and Planning Minister, Dr. Nigel Clarke. Mark Goulding, you're free to join me. This is a Hotline Headlines time. Right. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. That was a very important discussion, Very important. But Mark Goulding, I'd love to talk with you. You've not yet responded to my messages. I'd love to talk with you. The NWA is checking on Thornton, Barry, to come back to me. Okay? Somebody's telling me that NWA says it will take $1 trillion to fix our road network. So Dr. Clarke's $3 billion is just a drop in the bucket. Duh. When will the rest be available? Oh, what is you ask me? This is a rubbish. When will the next thing be available? When the economy fix. When the economy fix. And the fix is not going to be now. I completely agree that it is not even a drop. Remember the size of our public debt, Jamaica's public debt right now is $2 trillion. $2 trillion. So we have to take it down. This is the hotline. 9262178. 926. What's in your cup there, DT? You drink flaxseed. You think you one can drink flaxseed? A guava seed may have it. Guava seed may have it. Guava seed and cashew seed. Give me a piece of zinc. Chop up a piece of zinc and go and roast my cashew. A cashew off a roast. You're not coming for your pomegranate. No. You lose it, Miss Cora. Send it for you. 2178-7615. Morning.
Miss Crooks, morning. How are you?
Kuya, my friend.
Me know.
You know miss me?
Me miss your bad man. Me
ball.
Down last week to look for you.
No, ball for me.
They say ball for you?
Ball for me if you miss me.
If me miss you?
Like what you call a ball last time. Ball for me.
The last time me ball. Because me couldn't make bro got ball more than me.
So you're not ball now?
You not ball now.
Don't cry for me. Argentina.
The truth is me never tell you no lie.
The truth is I was never with you.
Me never tell you no lie. All through the prosperity. All through the opposition. All through the opposition and the generalship.
Lord of mercy.
We have keep our promise. Don't keep your distance.
Too late. I've already kept my distance.
You know, can't keep it.
I shall be keeping more of that from you.
Keep it with Dr. Clarke.
A good company that man bright. You can bright like him fingernail.
After you read John's tweet, you have to call him. I tell you every day. they do, them a give you bad goods to sell.
No,
do
not
me. Make them take you.
No.
And turn around Papi show.
Don't insult my intelligence.
He lived it.
What?
Mark Golding, tell him from March. So
you obviously didn't listen to the. In fact, you know why I called.
Why did you listen to him?
No.
Why should I listen to him?
Because you had to learn some sense.
No. Me turn off my radio.
Hold on. Yes.
Luciano Paravati. Call me Paravati today.
Paravati?
Yes.
Yes, let me call you Parati.
No. Paravati. Luciano Paravati.
Did Madonna do over that thing?
This one? Madonna do this one?
Yes.
Argentina.
Yes. May I call you Madonna? Take the Madonna.
No, you can't call me Madonna. You have to call me Mr. Tough than that. Or Mr. Warminton. Call Mr. Warminton, Madonna.
Go to hell.
Call Mr. Warminton, Madonna.
You're not taking that part.
You call Mr. Warminton, Madonna.
That's what he would tell you, you know.
Good. What I'm saying, Miss Crooks, Mark Golding told the country through the parliament. You said, him say, no go so till it turn a one Twitter war. Me hear about the Twitter war.
With whom?
Why went turning to
with whom?
You and some other people.
No, I don't. You you're getting twisted. No, I don't do the Twitter conversations because I cannot keep up. No, that is not so.
When the power one Twitter war.
No, people.
They say and you know right. And if you go back.
No,
so for him
hold on, comrade. No.
Say the same thing that Mark Golding had said.
No, and this is why. This is why I asked Nigel Clarke to join me, because having listened to the supplementary estimates on Tuesday, I saw a tweet by John, which he copied Mark Golding, which I read out. How John understands the increases in the supplementary estimates. It's not how I understand what Dr. Clarke said, which is why I called Dr. Clarke to say, explain this for me. And let me explain the sequence again. The budget was tabled by Dr. Clarke about mid-February. When he tabled the budget, he included some whole heap of social spend because of the fallout from COVID. Yeah? Unknown to everybody at the time.
Really? Yes.
Yes. About 10 days later, the war in Ukraine started. And as a result of the war in Ukraine, a number of things started happening, including increasing inflation over and above what was budgeted, on top of what was going on for COVID. But remember now, in the budget that Dr. Clarke tabled, he'd included some cushioning for the poorest over and above whatever else was there.
And the poor get it yet?
They get a lot of it.
What, when?
No. Don't even, that's a different argument. Stay with me on this one.
Alone.
No, stay with me on this. Stay. I'm not going to argue about the reach. Hang on a second. Stay with me on this.
But before you go, remember, after the war in Ukraine, the budget never closed yet.
That's the point. That's the point. I agree with you.
No, not only that, Miss Crooks. Remember, it was wrong from the start. It was off from the start, even before the war, because the oil price. Remember, that was a main issue that Golding and all of us had. That the price of the oil when taxed it at, and the alvarorum tax.
No.
And we're saying,
no.
Okay, continue.
Don't mix up so many things.
Yeah, okay.
But you are right that the war started about the 24th of February, and then Mark Golding made his contribution in or about March. In Mark Golding's contribution, Mark called for a $40 billion increase to go directly to the poor as a result of the COVID fallout. And I cannot recall if he cited what was happening in the war, because at that time I don't know if we started feeling any pressures from the war yet. So he called for 40 billion, and more particularly, he wanted whatever increase was to come directly to the poor. He said it is to go up to 2% of GDP for direct spending on the poor. Now, this is March of 2022.
Yes.
What the minister has told us in the parliament now, they had a budget of revenue forecast for the fiscal year. As you know, them put in how much them expect to get for each fiscal year. But it so happens that there has been such a greater than expected bounce in the economy that their actual revenue, actual tax revenue for the 6 months after April 1, 2022 is $35 billion more than they forecast. No, he didn't say that. Hang on a second. At the time when he spoke, the government's forecast was for $35 billion less than it actually turned out to be. And he was, no, hang on a second. No.
Golden told him that he's going to collect almost 100 billion.
No.
Especially through the Alvaro tax and the gas.
No,
they're
but
going to
comrade,
going to collect more.
Comrade, when you say, no,
they're
hang
going to
on.
collect more.
Hang on, comrade. When you say you're going to collect versus what you actually collect in difficult times, it makes a fundamental difference.
But them say them collect 30. Them say them collect 30. At least. Mark said they're going to collect more.
But I don't think you understand.
No, you're collecting more and 20 billion outside of the public sector and whatever. I am going to buy how much the taxman them a ball so them apply for the and then one somebody tweet even yesterday, not tweet to Dr. Taylor, and said them and a labor right them now and get it. Why is it that at this time no parish council election come up, you're going to give 3 more thousand pound light bill? No. My address is Comrade, Cambridge District, Cambridge PO, St. James, Jamaica, West Indies. Send to me at Cambridge, let me tear up because I come at town tomorrow. Me tear up if you come control your Ministry of Finance come here. Take off the gas off of take off some of the tax off of the gas. So that the whole of we can benefit.
So now you're going into Berber conversation.
We are labor right. Take off some of the gas, all of the tax, off of the gas. That means that the price of bread can come down, the price of taxpayer can come down, the pensioner can benefit, the baby what that jubilee what they cover the sheep can bury.
Okay.
You understand me? And everybody can get it. You just put out something out there, you have your list. Now cure the people them go and apply. If them are labor right, 90% I would get it. A labor right.
Yeah, well,
because them have their list and them put them in the system already. Don't come and tell us that you're going to cushion the poor.
No, I'm not having. That's not the conversation I'm having now. Because I don't believe. I don't believe in any.
They are cushioning the base. Them base for the election. That is what they are doing. And before you go, I don't want you to talk about Mr. Tufton. Because as long as the pharmacy man not having poison pen out there, they poison him. And him poison tongue and him poison finger for right. Mr. Tufton is going nowhere.
You're gone into Pierre Berber conversation. I was trying to have a decent intellectual conversation with you, but you're gone. You're gone at Berber business. Me not the Berber talking.
The man with the Christian name. And him, the two of them and the pharmacy man, I keep that Tufton there.
Who is the Christian name?
I want to see the pharmacy man that they told me back and cost him, you see.
Who is the Christian name?
The man, the Christian name. Read between the line. The one that did them the 200 million the last election. And him, without them and the big packet, they are the ones keep him there. You can make 29, baby, why him 29, plus 7, plus market me, plus 400 million now. When no contract, a computer, give out and tablet and all kind of thing. And he is still there. He is still there. And you laugh after England. He is still there. The fertilizer was drunk almost near the farmer them down at St. Elizabeth. And he's still there. The best performing minister. He is still there. Dr. Tufton, market me. He is still there. Dr. Tufton.
I don't know where you're gone now.
I'm right here talking to my friend Emily Crooks. Right here, sir. He is still there. You understand me? But guess what, Miss Crooks? I tell them, say, man, we want labor rights to stay there. Because them plant one ground and they must reap it. They must reap it. Me no want PNP come reap it for them, then go see how we went plant it. They must reap it. But doctors point and different and different stuff, man. So Dr. First go, but him stay after Carnival Regional. After the 29, I admit to 2 years ago in a parliament. Clean after 35 weeks now 29. Now we cover up Jubilee. Market me and all of them. 400 million now. 400 million now. And he is still there. The man said, Williams to bully the person at England and he resign. Bully him just bully somebody and he resign. And market me, he's still there. Dr. Clarke is telling us about care package. And all of them BS I get it. You understand me? And don't give me $3,000. Mail it to me, man.
Wait,
disrespect you, they disrespect me. So we can't come throw in a finance ministry, give it back to you.
So you move off of the proper discussion we did have for that.
What kind of discussion?
Right.
What kind of discussion, Miss Cook?
I was trying to reason with you on something, but you're gone in and burping.
But I'm saying that it makes no sense because he's a general.
Oh.
He's a general.
Answer your phone. Comrade calling you to tell you what to say.
No, Comrade now call me.
Who's calling
He's a general. They must stop it. Where is the money to the poor? An election now, see they come now, but you care about poor? Where's the money all along? Give everybody a break. Don't give alone a break. Give everybody a break.
You think that's a fair comment?
It is a fair comment.
How?
It is justifiable. Give everybody all of the social program them. All the man can't get a work in shock. Because you have to go to the MP and him a PNP. The big old project out of airport and the man chuck park up in camp because he no labor right. You have to go selling chuck them. Everything is politics. Everything is, I've never seen it this vulgar. I have never seen anything so vulgar. Go anyone in the government minister them and ask the people when you say, they tell you which MP send them. Then tell you which MP send them.
Well, that is to be investigated, because that is not supposed to happen.
The man out of the airport, he tell me I want police last week. He can't, and he cannot get that truck because he have PNP have to go sell them.
Him have what?
Truck. He have some truck and want work. And he can't get no work. None of the government work because my PNP have to go sell two of them. He tell me I want police last week Friday.
What kind of work he wants for the truck to haul what?
The truck in work out of airport.
To haul what?
To carry mall go out there. And carry mall from the government side. The man he can't get it.
From where would the mall come from?
Miss Cook. Where them get the mall from?
No, I don't.
Come from Malpit.
No, I don't know. Where's the construction taking place?
Come from Malpit.
No, answer me. Where's the construction taking place?
Him say he can't get out of airport. He want a contract out there.
What, Jesus Christ?
He have to go to the MP.
Comrade.
MP, yes.
Comrade, what kind of work are going at airport?
The construction of the runway.
Okay, who have the
expansion of the runway?
Who has the subcontract?
Miss Cook. Miss Cook. Gina, just one of the things, just when you tell yourself a lie and try to believe it. Miss Cook, you know what is happening. Don't go there, Miss Cook.
Listen, I am not in Mobay. I do not know what is happening. You come here telling me a story. But I don't talk like you,
You do not have to be in Montego Bay. I said check anywhere the government agents them. Check the people who get the party, who get the even the care package them. Hello?
I'm hearing you.
The supermarket when they park right now. When them have the Chinese sitting out, they give away the day. I mean organize it because the owner went to China. And when the people them come, every striking one of them a labor rights send them.
All right.
Never believe.
I'm not into that. I'm not into that. You went to China before. Listen now.
Every striking when I come for the food.
Okay, hang on now. You went to China before. It's time to go to France. Goodbye. I'm up on a break. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. 876-926-8631. Hello?
Sister!
Kuya! How you do?
Church sister!
Yes, third sister.
Church sister!
Yes, you can hear me. How you do?
I am here. Hey, church sister, what going?
Not a thing. Good to hear you, man.
Why, I'm there. How was your birthday?
Well, yes, my birthday.
Feels like
a long time
away. What kind of story this year?
It was
quite
good.
28
29.
29?
Yes,
right.
It was quite good. It was quite good, actually. Thank you. Yes.
Well, me hope you enjoy your day. Morning foreign, morning Jamaica, morning Asia. Morning to this beautiful parish and over. Sister. Yeah, my man say he wanted $3,000. He got tear up. Hey! One piece of old cup, one plastic cup he give me. And before he give me the $3,000, he go buy some what I need as they call it, where you put for your belly, the man to wrap your belly, that's it lower. He couldn't collect the money give me then. I remember buy me 2 phone cards then with the $3,000. He never tear up $3,000. You say that boy is very rich though. In this hard time, America, the Paris recession. England, big England. What an idiot now. The Paris recession and Canada. And Jamaica, I want to tear up 3,000. Make I talk about good things, yeah. Dr. Tufton, good morning. Wait, before we go no further. Happy birthday to you, Dr. Horace Strong. Happy birthday to the Adrian Garden. Dorian Garden already. I did try them birthday today. And Dr. Chang birthday, never know the Adrian. Dr. Chang at 21. Hey, one of the most sexiest MP. Put on Dr. Tufton to number one. No. Mr. Oles number one. Dr. Tufton to number 2, sexy.
Tufton.
And then now Dr. Chang is number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Hey!
What about Marky G?
When man just good. When man great, man just great.
What about Marky G? What about Marky G?
Market me?
Mark.
How can I tour you the pan? That man look good to you?
Yeah, market me already. What about Mark Golding?
That man look good to you?
No, the pan look good, chat.
No, sir.
No,
sir. He has to do liposuction.
Section.
He has to do liposuction. Hey.
All right.
Yes,
we're done with you. No more.
All right. We're not going no further.
Lord of mercy. Liposuction.
Can you imagine? Him in a banking.
Mine am allergic to guillotine. Nobody go there no more. I don't know where you're going with this thing.
Now we're banking.
Where you talk about going to banking? Watch yourself.
Then him not in a banking. Him not one banking, Mr. Bunting. One bank. And when you're in a bank and if you're not coming a bank for 2 years, 1 year come put no money, and them take the whole of your money. Eh?
No.
Am I lying or me the chat true?
No, that's an allegation. No, it doesn't relate to his
Look here,
the bank is no more.
Hold on. Me go one bank. And me went there the bank with one money when me left hotel and grill. The last money me have. 2 years, me no go back at the bank. When me dead for hungry. They say me no have no money more than $23. After how much thousand me have? Where you going to tell about?
How much money you did have?
How much thousand me got in the bank? They say me only 2 years me no go at the bank. I lose here. And I pray that the out of the door we have so much left here. And to help me God when I put my life in a God hand, then pack up left here. What me say because tears are a language only God one understand. Hungry they kill me the day me good on there. 2 years, no money.
Was it you who kept the devotion at Oberlin?
No go say no. Hey, church sister.
Me mind on fire when me hear about it.
Wicked and bad sister. The woman says she never put her foot. Sorry. Church sister says she never put her foot over Oberlin. And they go tell I have the woman picture. She say no, so they must do those things for people picture they send all about to people. They write to the woman and the woman come and the woman pray last week and he come back this week. The poor woman come from the radio station, you come say he foot never touch Oberlin.
Oh.
You know so they fit up do.
Which woman is this now?
Now the church sister where they say go about Oberlin sister and you about it. And they have the woman picture for the woman dynamic. And one about the woman no come by so. And go say her foot never touch wobbling.
Oh.
And then have the woman picture. You see all these things with this. They need to put a thing on it. That means they lock them up and they send people picture out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what the scandal people and they do all sorts of things to people, you know. Spoil their reputation, you know. And when reputation spoil it hard, she come back, you know, sister. That people look for the negative, they look for the positive, you know. All these things to stop, you know. Then can't they scandalize people on Facebook and back book and what kind of book they want got, you know. It is not right, you know. The first thing your family see is you in a certain thing. When they check you out, no go so. And people now look past and no go so, they say, yes, you're doing it. And they must stop it.
That is very
Yeah,
strange.
it is not right. Third sister, me talk about Mr. Tough Stand now. No. I want to be tell Mr. Tough Stand tomorrow. When he come in and go, come. You only go listen. Tell Mr. Tough Stand, say, you have some old people here that is crippled. But they ask him to get some bus and make some makeshift ambulance. For the people, them can go in and go lay down and go to hospital and can pay them way and come back. Every parish need one. Tell Mr. Tough Stand to me. Because Mr. Coombs go to clinic Thursday and the whole of Mr. Coombs back and everywhere and other people. Mr. Coombs worse with any Mr. Coombs alright. Anytime he go to clinic and come at the man fixing, hardly can move his leg them. And it is not right, Mr. Coombs can't pay the ambulance. So Mr. Tough Stand needs to prepare so ambulance, use one bus. Get some bus at the 14 parish. Every parish get one. So you have people who are sick. And then foot can they squeeze up in a taxi. See how much money and how much people they lift them up. Get the ambulance, the people they can't pay their way. Tell Mr. Tough Stand when he come here. Is where she gone. Don't hand over here now. From Q Bridge to Maryland. Call Mr. Stephen Shaw. We have one place named Georgia. Round there. Georgia Bridge pop done for 1998 when Gilbert come here. And the 98 Gilbert come here 88 hour. For 1998, Gilbert didn't come here and Gilbert didn't come before. Until today, the bridge not fixed all now. Most of the people in Georgia move out who can move out. But the rest of people them, what have concrete house can't go nowhere round there. Until today, the bridge not fixed all now. Ask Mr. Stephen Shaw about it. I wish you
1988. May I hear you?
No, 1988, man. 1998.
Oh, okay.
1988 when Gilbert mix up it.
Oh, but that
he went pop down round the 1988 and then they went itch you up.
Yes.
What me say? But for 9... No, man. No. It's for 1989, sister. Sorry, me wrong picture. You dey catch me up picture. Hey, they go bad. Me they put my pot in a fridge too much. Hey, for 1989, sister. The Georgia Bridge pop down until today. Ask Stephen Shaw I know about it. Most of the people in the community move out.
All right.
And the road, sister, there is no asphalt on the road from Q Bridge to Maryland. What me say? And that is from 1989 too. Until today. No road, no fixed there, so sister, until today. In a hand over for Q Bridge. Go straight to Maryland.
Gotta
no
go.
Asphalt, no dep on the road.
It's money talk time. Good to hear your third sister. God bless you. Good afternoon, listeners. Time now for X and Y.
I need to be taught the language of the fowl.
Two fowl on me yard.
A fowl of here?
One a X and one a Y. The wire told me in a tie-dye. Oh, that is what you have queued up, man. You really had that queued up there, why?
No, but then if you said the phone was talking to you.
You know me too much, man. You know me too much. The phone language.
Yeah.
You want me to use phone language on the radio?
So I'm trying to figure out what kind of phone language
Is me you want Cornell Green come to arrest?
No, sir, but hold on. When you were growing up, you used to listen to the hen, mother hen, with the sounds they made.
I don't remember the mother hen.
Yeah, well, I remember as a boy growing up, we used to say the hen is saying, cock, cock, me Leo.
Yes.
Yeah, and then in response the cock would say, if I never meet you in a Leo.
No, I never heard the cock's response.
So, cluck, 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 Leo.
Yeah. If I never meet you in Leo. That is crazy. But I really enjoy the rural sounds when the callers call, you know.
Yes.
Because you when you grow up in it, it just comes to you. You know exactly how the house position, where the fowl could there. And if one certain breeze come across, what kind of smell you're going to get.
Yes.
And when it wants sawdust.
And the pig's tie.
The hog pen.
No, I no hog pen. I know pig pen, you know. Neither hog pen. A
God.
pig's tie. That's what we used to call it.
Yeah. We have to wash out.
But when the breeze blow, no matter how you wash.
I had to wash out the pig's pen. That's the pig pen, and that's when you say you use jizz in there.
Jizz, yes.
Come to think of it, I don't know. Maybe that smell that came from it is the smell of jizz, actually.
But for the most part, you know, the average country yard would just have a 1 and 2 pig. They don't really have no pig pen or no pig sty as they used to call it.
Yeah, it depends on the volume. But if you have whole heap of hog.
Persons who are into
selling
and supply the jerk pork man will have a pig pen.
Yeah.
But the average house would just have a 1 and 2 pig tied somewhere.
Where there's a swampy area.
Yes.
Close to dash in.
Yes.
And but you know, the beauty is about growing up. But I don't even know where these things are anymore. It is so sad. Because you'd always have a butcher shop. And you go and you see the stamp on the animal. That means it's certified good, you know.
The inspector would go around.
Inspector go around, go certify the meat.
I noticed they always try to cut a piece of the liver. That's what they used to test it, you know. Yeah, they cut the liver and examine it.
I wonder why.
I suppose if anything was wrong with the meat, it would be reflected in the liver.
I suppose because the liver is the major organ for, well, not for excretion, but it does, if your liver is congested, then that's the end of you know?
Yes.
I suppose.
So they would make sure that is good and then they stamp it.
Yeah. Pass.
But there are others who would do them little butchering still and cut them hog throat and them didn't get it tested.
No. If I saw them, it was like Christmas, they'd always kill a goat, sometimes a pig, and lots of chicken. If me see them kill my goat, me not eat it now. Same for the chicken, me not eat it.
You've never killed a chicken?
No.
You never killed no fowl?
Me not participating in it.
No fowl affair?
And you know, some of the cruel things that people used to do in the country, them put the fowl under the bucket and take out the fowl head. And when they remove the head, they let the fowl, people cruel, you know? I make the fowl run headless.
I know we used to enjoy that as children.
It's this thing. We're dreadful people.
We used to enjoy hearing the fowl under the pan.
Oh, God.
So, use a wash pan and put the fowl under the pan, and then you stick out the head and then cut it. It was cruel. And when you reflect on it, it really was.
Any one of my fowl that were then killed, me not eating it. Let me tell you, I used to have whole heap of fowl, and where they used to thief them. And me go to Savannah and say, where they? And me say, where do you remember when you used to thief me for? In the pan. God.
Tell me something. The expression you use about ritual.
I don't don't know where that come from.
Where did it come from?
I don't know, deep somewhere in the annals of my rurality, because me don't remember about control, it just come in my mouth.
I have not heard that in a long time.
What is it?
Ritual. You ugly like a ritual. That's how we used to cuss people.
I know.
You ugly like a ritual. And then
where does it come from?
I'm wondering where you get.
I love it.
It reminds me of a song I was listening to the other day. So there was this one, I think it's Frankie Paul. You know, one at a pretty girl. And there's a line that says he want a girl whose face favor Spanish town handcuff.
No.
Or something to that effect.
Or don't want. Must be don't want.
No, he wants. Let me see
Frankie
if I
Paul?
can find. Hold on. Let me see if I can find.
Now.
I went him again. Not a pretty girl. Hold on.
Favor stoplight signal.
Want a girl with her face favor stoplight signal.
What does that one mean?
And her face favor Spanish town handcuff.
Yeah, so appear ugly people in one, because the pretty one, they might eat him out himself.
Yeah, them are general.
No know
So
about that.
he perhaps never did know about ritual. Or else he would have put that in there as well. But you know what was ritual? What they call ritual?
No.
The same thing that we used to call patu.
Oh, that's an owl.
Yes.
An owl.
But it's actually screech owl that they were talking about, you know. So it was screech owl.
Oh, it become screech owl.
But it get corrupted somewhere along the line.
I like the corruption. I like it. But you ever heard the sound? You ever hear the sound that the owl makes?
Ooh.
Yeah. And you ever seen them? There's a beautiful white one that comes by me.
But the screech owl, the same one we call screech owl, you ugly like a screech owl. It's a beautiful bird.
Well, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. In the eyes of the beholder, or in the eyes of the beheld.
But there are those who are afraid of it, you know.
Yeah.
When a person thought it was dopey.
Yeah. Because them say them can't see a day.
And they're very nocturnal.
Night them can't see.
Yes.
That's why they're flying about at night.
Yes.
But there's a beautiful white one that flies by me. So.
You mean?
In the night, yeah. Beautiful white owl.
You mean like now?
Well, I haven't seen it in a little while, but yeah, in the nights.
They come in various colors. You have some nice, not exactly white, but perhaps in the night they look white.
That's right.
But it's a light gray. And you have some brown and some darker shade.
But if you don't see them in the day, how you know the actual color?
Well, you perhaps wouldn't know the actual color, but it's what they appear to look like.
Yeah.
In the night.
Yeah.
Yes. I mainly used to see the brown ones though, and would try to shoot them with catapult.
What do you use as your
shot? Stone.
No.
So you and because they're big, you're better able to hit them. It's more likely that you hit them.
But why would you want to use that? Because you can't eat it. Why would you shoot it?
But we weren't shooting bird to eat. We just enjoyed firing that slingshot and connecting.
God.
And you draw your slingshot and you connect. You got a sense of satisfaction from doing so. So we used to shoot even the hummingbird. Whatever the bird was, and lizard.
But the hummingbird moves a bit fast, doesn't it?
Yes, but it would come close to you because wherever the flower was, they would come, and so you were able to take aim at it.
What about pop and gun? You use pop and gun for play gun war back in the day?
Well, they had something they call chibum. I don't know if you know that little chibum, a sort of explosive, and you would make what was a wooden gun them in those days and placed it in between something we call the trigger, and you draw it. It was made with rubber, so that sort of elasticity was in there, and when you stretch it and let it go, it compressed it. And then it exploded. Boom. Well, no, he never said boom. It more like pie.
Boy. No, those days. So what you that is just to frighten people, or?
No, we would. There's this excitement you got from all of that, and we used to play gun war as well, and so instead of using a mode, that sort of sound would maybe come across as a little bit more authentic.
Yeah, I enjoy the pop and gun fights, because we then use the You remember pop and gun?
What did you call your pop and gun?
A pop and gun, we call it. So it was made from bamboo.
Oh, this is the same thing, yes.
Yeah. And we'd use the very, very young, that sort of kernel of the apple, the Otaheite apple. When it just come up.
Pear seed too?
No.
Because
when you put the apple thing in there, you have to use a stone or turn it over and knock it on the ground. And then you force the thing inside. And so when you push, one at bottom, one at top, and then when you push the stick in there, it forces the one at the top to expel. And go boom, sometimes you get a little smoke coming from it, and the boy you fight against you, hide behind the wall. Yeah,
so
it's good fun.
Hold on. How was that possible for it to smoke and you never had the explosive in it?
I don't know. I don't know before, so you have to ask.
Well, I know about the chibum. We used to use that, and we would also throw down the chibum.
Yeah?
Yeah, hit it against the wall and it explodes.
I'm sure I must have heard of chibum, but I don't know why it's not coming to me. But me know say boop's there.
Perhaps there was another name in your part of the world.
Another name. I'll figure it out until tomorrow. That's X&Y. Go find your control. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you. Let me see. Mr. John has told me he's been calling on toll-free and he's going to call back. Make us see if I have 2 minutes with him. John?
No, this is not John. This is Wilson.
How are you, Milton?
No, Wilson.
Wilson. Yes. Good to hear you.
Yeah, man. Thank God I'm living.
Yes, and all is well with you?
Yeah, man.
Yes, good to hear you.
I want to ask you a question. This word, no thank you. No thank you is an English word, don't it?
It's 3 words.
Yeah, no thank you.
It's 3 words. No thank you.
Yeah. I think it comes from England.
Which part of it?
No thank you. The word no thank you.
The phrase no thank you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why? Tell me the context.
Because when I was a young person living in Clarendon and Chaberton, I used to see some white people. They were teachers from Clarendon College. And when I'm telling them Star or Gleaner, they would say to me, no thank you.
No, I don't know. I think in every language there are words for that thing. It's just absolute politeness. So you can say no and not say thank you, or you can say no but thank you. Yeah. I don't know if it... You can say it in Jamaican too, No, but thank you, man.
That bird where Mr. Thompson was talking about, when somebody pregnant and they're going to have a baby, that bird would come in the community at night and make a lot of noise.
The creature?
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, man. And some people will say, Sharon over there, sir.
Sharon?
She soon have baby,
Oh?
Yeah, in Clarendon. I remember I got a little youth.
Ah.
Yeah, man.
Screech-owl. They call it screech-owl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good.
Them say I'm blind and can't see.
No, I hear and can't see a day.
Oh, a day.
So I don't know what is it about the retina, the pupil or whatever, why the sun... I can't say sun. Well, somehow the light of the day is just too much, so they do see in the night. That's what I understand. I don't know.
Yeah. I hear up my listener them in New Longville in Clarendon. A regular listener of them. Yeah, man. Big up to New Longville in Clarendon. All the listeners down there.
Thank you.
Family and friends.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. Take care, Wilson. Bye-bye. 8631. I'm so sorry. 2178. Hello. Hi, how are you? Getting a bit of a feedback. And now you have me on hold inadvertently. Oh dear. I'm so sorry. I'm about to lose you because the phone is on hold and you don't know.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Who am I talking with?
You're talking to Bill.
To whom?
Bill?
Bill.
Uh-huh.
Is it Bill Clinton or?
No, just Bill, for the time being.
Just
we have
Bill.
spoken about, the last time we spoke about 4 years ago.
Ah,
Okay, yeah, it's quite a while.
good to have you back.
Okay, all right. Today I'm not a happy camper.
No.
No. I do believe Bob Marley have a song that
Wait,
says,
put the mouthpiece up a bit more to your mouth, please.
yeah, anybody know?
No.
Hold on, let me take your speaker.
Please do, and I have limited time, so come Bill.
Any better now?
Much better, thank you.
All right, good. I'm not really going to even quote the thing about Bob Marley. I think he has a song that says, when he found out the preacher was lying, he feel like bombing the church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Today I feel like I need a rocket launcher. However, I'm calling about the land issue with the government and also NCB, which is now owned by Michael Lee Chin. In some parts of Jamaica, mainly at present, which where I'm from, is Westmoreland as well. A lot of people purchased land in those days from one person who owns the estate, but never got titles for those lands.
Probably don't have any subdivision.
Right, we're talking about now 700 years or so. However, some of the people who own the land now are trying to get like supplies, electricity, water, and so on. They've been paying taxes all this time for the last 70 years.
Where exactly is this?
Westmoreland near the Grill.
This is at
Western Westmoreland.
Western Westmoreland. This is I'm trying to get the name of the area.
The area, Orange Hill.
Orange,
Hill,
yes.
Revival.
Yes.
Brighton, and so forth.
Yes.
No, when they go to pay the taxes recently, they found that NCB is the new owner of the property.
Really?
Now, yeah, I have found that out over a year now. I've been speaking to NCB attorneys with regards to this land issue as to how come NCB is now on the title. When I've done my research...
When did title pass to NCB?
Back in the 91, I think it was. And but it wasn't known to us at that time.
Who was the owner before NCB, do you know?
Barclays Bank.
Barclays Bank was the owner, or Barclays Bank had a mortgage?
It seemed like they had a mortgage, I'm not sure.
So who was the owner, do you know?
The owner of each, you have each individual in there, it's not one person. The owner of that land at the time was a guy named Harvey.
So it's a private owner?
Yeah, a private owner, yes.
And he probably got a mortgage from Barclays when he bought part of the land.
Quite possible. But he was the owner of the estate called Hopewell Penn, the one I'm referring to. But there are many others. But this one in particular affects me and my neighbors. So I had written to NCB to find out as to how they arrive at this venture, at this juncture rather. But
before you go any further, so 1991 NCB bought the land?
No, they didn't buy the land.
What happened?
What they're saying is that because the name of the bank was changed from Barclays to National Commercial Bank, they are now the owner of this land.
Right.
Now, Barclays Bank was never transferred to NCB, it was transferred to the government, as far as I know.
Yeah, but outside of that, even if Barclays changed to NCB in 1991, and so NCB, in essence, took over the interest of Barclays Bank, you and these scores of people have been living on this land.
Yes.
Undisturbed,
paying taxes as well.
Yes, and you have your houses, and nobody's come to tell you to move off from 1991.
Before that.
Before. So, but that's right. I get you. But I'm even starting at the latest date, which is 1991. So from 1991, let's say, you've had undisturbed possession, exclusive possession of the land.
Yes.
Living on it, planting on it, put up your animal on it, pay your taxes and so forth.
Right.
And now you want title for it.
Yeah.
And what is NCB saying?
Well, when I spoke to the attorney, he said he'll get back to me. That's a year plus. And up until today's date, they have not got back to me in an interest to resolve the situation.
Well, you don't need to talk to NCB, you know. What you need to do is to get an attorney to file an application for ownership of the land pursuant to your unbroken exclusive occupation for the period of time that you have. You don't need to talk to NCB at all, because at any rate, NCB, even them becoming so-called owners of the land in 1991, if you were there long before whenever, then they take the land subject to rights that you have had in law before they took it in 1991. So what you need is to talk to somebody else. Okay,
maybe that's the reason why the attorney have not made a decision or gotten back to me on the matter.
No, it's even though this area of law is sort of piece of chalk.
Okay.
Yeah, but it would be good if NCB could recognize the rights of each person. The problem they will find is that they will have to make an application for subdivision. And the application for subdivision can be quite expensive because it has to go to a local authority. Then authority has to give them the go-ahead, and then splinter title for all of the people who are on it will have to be had. And subdivision can be quite expensive because it has to go to a local authority. Then authority has to give them the go-ahead, and then splinter title for all of the people who are on it will have to be had. And then your name can go on the title. And then the question is how much acreage of land would be left out of this big piece of land for NCB.
And the number of persons.
Yes, which is why the subdivision for the lots is going to be a massive thing.
Yes, I have the drawings and all of that of it, the sketch of it. Yeah.
So tell the lawyer to.
It's lawyer Hamity is the person that dealt with all these lands in the Western.
Oh, but lawyer Hamity is a great lawyer.
Yes, I understand
King's
that.
Counsel, yes.
I met him when I was a lad, you know.
Yes, and the lady in lawyer Hamity's office is my second mother, so you talk to her.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Blagrove, you go and talk to her.
Okay, I will.
But then the other thing is I think this is something best pursued by everybody, where.
Yes, I'm going to get everybody together.
And see if NCB can make the application for subdivision.
No, they need to sort it out. It's unconscionable for Mr. Leachin want to do this at this time to these people.
No, well, I don't deal in unconscionability, you know, because the law, don't go there, because then you sort of insinuate motives, and rights in relation to land are legally defined. Right? So, talk to lawyer Hamity's office and see. Yeah.
All right. The next thing now, you see, I'd like you to give.
Hold on a second. So you said there's no water there?
No. On some of the property, persons have built houses now and making applications for water.
Yeah.
And when they go to do that, they've been told that they got to get permission. From NCB, and they've been there for years, 20 years.
Yeah. So the issue of ownership has to be sorted out. I got you. Last thing, because I've got to go.
Yeah, I need to give Comrade a message for me, see? I met not a message, you know, a message.
Yeah.
See?
We give up. Wait, you have a word for Comrade?
Yes. You probably don't remember who I am, but you tell him, you see? If you take him place, back of the line. Back of the line. But him I go point out finger in a man's face and I call you Ginger too.
Did you see the picture of my toes?
Yes.
Those look like ginger to you?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
They're more favorite tambrick, if anything.
Not in tambrick. They more look like lollipop. So So you tell him, say, taking place in the back of the line.
Taking place, Comrade.
I was there long before you start at university. Tell him to taking place.
Taking place. Thank you for the call. All the best to you and the people
all right,
down there.
Take care. God bless.
All right. Yes, take care. That's all the time we have for this person say you would blow in the bamboo pipe after you stick the first apple blossom. So it's the air that is trapped in it that would cause the smoke when the blossom is discharged. That's something. I think it's some sort of chemical reaction in there as well. I don't know if it's the air with the CO2. Something is some serious chemistry was going on inside that pattern gun. Remember now, pattern gun can't shoot alligator. Those are the things we used to do. You learn how to do something. DT, we gotta go. But you know about Eily Prem Prem?
No, it's marble. We used to call it.
Yes. I mentioned it this morning to somebody and then said I never hear about Eily Prem Prem. Oh, you never know Eily Prem Prem, the shiniest marble in the pack when you play, and you have to make sure so you get the Eily Prem Prem.
We used to call it pricks.
Right, somebody said pricks. Good care. Thank you to my producer, Kimberly Wright Broderick, the wine, my X&Y, Daniel Thompson. I'm Emily Shields.